how we can improve our lives with energy.
Well, I'm totally with you on that now. This evening, I just came across the idea of, emotional intelligence. And I mean, the work I do is emotional freedom technique. And the connection there is so strong. Like emotional intelligence is such an advantage to have a level of emotional intelligence, a sense of awareness of yourself. And EFT would actually create the same idea, that it creates a level of a sense of awareness or of yourself. And one would enhance the other, if you know what I mean. US veterans are using it for post-traumatic stress, and it has proven to actually reduce the symptoms of people that have post-traumatic stress.
So it can help with the stress and anxiety and phobias.
Yeah, and phobias. It can also help with your clarity and focus. Again, you'll have a clearer, more focused mind. It literally works on the meridians, like in the body. You tap on the endpoints of the meridians in a sequence. And you use it's talk directed in as well. You use positive words to actually imprint them instead of negative into the body. It's like it takes you out of your head. We all have this head thing going on, this chatter going on in your head, and it can be overwhelming, and you get completely bogged down from it. But if you start using EFT or tapping on those meridian points, it brings you out of your head back into your body. It's the mind-body connection that is so healthy, So that's the basis of it. It's evolving. It's evolving all the time. And I don't have that.
I do think that our bodies, when we go through things, they can stay in our bodies.
Oh, definitely. I think we hold an awful lot of, as you say, the imprints of events in our life, emotional, whether they're little traumas or big traumas from a very early age on, the way up, they can be held in the energy system almost in every cell. And as I said, like, if you speak of the mind body, you're also talking about the spirit, because if if a person is in good form, they have a good spirit about them. You can almost sense that it radiates from them. So that's a sense of spiritual well-being as well that it creates, to have I think the mind body modality to use. It's also self-regulating. It's not it's like you're not actually curing anybody or healing anybody, but you're helping somebody else to understand that they can heal themselves through regulating their system, creating a flow of energy that's not stuck or trapped or blocked in areas. I mean, that's what can cause a lot of pain as well.
Yeah, and even more than when we feel discomfort, when our energies get blocked or deviated, it actually changes in our body physically. And one of the teachers I studied with calls it changes in conformation.
Right.
Because if you always hold your body a certain way, your muscles are going to change and your joints are going to change.
Yeah.
And then you end up looking and acting and being in the world very differently.
True. I understand what you're saying there, because it's to do with posture. If you meet someone that has their head down a lot, they're kind of, it's almost like the posture of, feeling low or feeling down. Or if you meet someone that's kind of holding their head erect and talking and smiling and have a kind of a spark about them, well, you can sense that that's a different type of energy. And as you say, the longer you hold yourself in a certain way, the more it affects your body posture, affects your mental state, and vice versa.
It's almost like you can wind yourself tighter and tighter.
Yes.
And get more tense and more disease in your body.
Yeah.
But what I like about the energy work that I do is that it helps you to unwind.
Yes.
And to unburden yourself. And it helps your body remember how it was before you started feeling just whatever illness or discomfort or emotional challenges you have. Because go ahead.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, because well, if you get, like, the stress hormone creates tension, like you hold yourself or you hold the muscle tight. So I'd say where there's a long-term or chronic stress, that there's a parts of our bodies, as you're saying, that are so wound up and that have gone into that state of wound upness, if you want to put it that way, that we're no longer aware of it. And 'tis to find something that's what I felt, that I wasn't aware that I had so much stress in me physically until I started doing that EFT. And now I gained awareness. And gaining awareness is helping with the unwinding and the soften and flow, what I call it. You have a more of a flow to you. I find I'm lighter.
Yeah.
You know.
I had a client in a couple months ago, and she was just really kind of worn down and tired. And you could even see it in the way she held her body.
Yes.
Very stiff. And when I was doing the Jin Shin Jyutsu with her, the acupressure,
yes,
and she laid down, I could just sense the heaviness in her. But as she relaxed, and I was moving my hands along her body, because I don't press on her body, I just rest them along the meridians.
Yes.
And she was able to relax and to release the tension. And it's funny that you say about heaviness and all that, because she said that when she went out of the session, she felt as light as a feather.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. And
it wasn't me, it was her healing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You're getting more sensitive. And I find that too, that I got more sensitive to the whole idea of the vibration of energy around us, that we are all vibrating at a certain level. And it helps when you're more aware that you can, you're more aware as well of how the person is that you're looking after, your client, or, when they come to you.
Oh, I've lost your audio, Elsie.
Have you? Oops.
Oh, it's back. Okay.
All right. Maybe I've moved. Yeah. Your internet connection is unstable. Sorry about that. It is.
We can do a lot with our energy, but the internet's another whole.
Oh my God. Yeah, we've no control over that. Yeah, that is true. It's so unpredictable.
One of the things that we have in commonality, even though we do different modalities,
yes,
is that we have a strong component where people can access their own healing.
Exactly.
And we can do things with them to help teach them and help to facilitate it.
Yes.
And then I sense that you have one of your star points is that people can learn to go and carry it on themselves.
Yes. Yeah. You can teach the person the actual routine and things. Now it varies, and there's many different protocols in it, like, you can deal with past, present and future as well, but the basic sequence, and to use it on a daily basis, there's a cumulative effect really to anybody, so it can be passed on, and you can teach someone to use it, and they always have it at their fingertips. That's what I say. It's something you have at your fingertips to help you if you're stressed. I mean, you know yourself from doing your own work that even if you only put your hand across your chest and take a deep breath, like it's called heart-centered position, that even comforts you. And it stabilizes you as well, So,
and it actually goes through the heart meridian and the lung meridian.
Yeah.
And everything. And it's just amazing, because when I work with people, I will do sessions that it's a little bit like Reiki, a little bit like acupressure. But I also teach them, like, if they're overly worried in their life, I'll say, why don't you hold your thumb for a while?
Yes. Mm.
And all the meridians, as you would know from reflexology, go through our hands. So we can harmonize our whole being.
That's true. And as I said, you do the hold. Well, part of the tapping process is tapping on each finger. And as you say, again, you're tapping on the meridian lines. So there's such a connection, like all this healing energy work is quite similar, and it overlaps.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with, like, as you say, our aura is the bubble of energy that surrounded us. You have the 7 major chakras that we work with, and that's also worked within the Reiki. And we have our meridians, our lines, that linears. Yeah, I just love it. I think it's the future, I think, of complementary therapies. It's really one of the very good ways of helping and supporting people, and helping people to help themselves, really, that you're passing on that, it needs practice. It's like anything in life. You may try it first and say, oh God, I don't feel anything. But after a while, you realize, yes, there is a change. Because that happened to me. I had a pain, and I thought, on my shoulder one day, and I did the tapping. I didn't feel immediately. I thought, well, I hope that goes. And it was an hour later when I thought about it, I thought, I don't have that pain, it's gone. and hours later again, even like, that pain is gone. And that is wonderful. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, it really works.
Well, my experience coming into the energy work, I was very unwell and I had an immune disorder
Right.
and I was down for the count. And I started going for sessions and studying it. And to be honest, when I would lay there, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, anytime now.
You couldn't feel like there was anything happening or anything shifting or.
No, I couldn't. It took me, actually, maybe I was just so wound up, but it
Yes.
took me a couple of years to really
Yeah.
make a big shift. But the change in my being, my body, my thought processes, my energies are just amazing.
You see.
Because going from not being able to stand up straight to being able to go and do the things in my life that I want to do.
I know. It's wonderful. Like, you know, as you say, to go from complete flat battery fatigue to be able to pick yourself back up again and get involved in life. And as you say, do what you want to. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's a fabulous thing, really. I said the awareness of the energy body is so important for everybody in the future, I think. You know, the more people we can, you know, give this beautiful gift to, I call it, you know, the gift of that kind of awareness about their own energy and how we're all can heal ourselves. It's innate in us. But to get the balance and get it right, and the body will heal itself, literally.
Yeah. And I think one of the amazing parts to me is that some of us come to feeling better over a long time, but I've also seen cases where someone will come to it very quickly.
Yes.
Like they'll go in for a session and they come out and they're grand. So there's more to it than.
Well, that's what makes it wonderful, because it's so individual. Each human being, as you know, and we're all so different. You know, we're basically the same, but we're so different as regards our energy body as well. So, as you say, some people, it just clicks quicker and the energy starts to flow faster. Others have more, it's tighter, more wound up, as you say, and it's more stuck. You know, the tension is stronger. Maybe the pattern is there longer. And the mindset might be very strong as well, that they're holding on to it. And it takes a while to soften and flow and let it go, you know, and let the body.
Have you ever had any clients? I find it really interesting because a lot of times the tensions that we have are in layers.
Yes.
And we'll resolve one issue.
Yes.
And then they've moved forward to be able to go deeper and deal with a more difficult issue.
That's true. That is true, because you see, there's always, as you say, there's often a deep core issue behind a lot of things. I mean, it took me a while to realize that the core issue to my anxiety was the post-traumatic stress from way back, 30 years ago, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, you know, and I suppose maybe a month or two, like, and before it clicked with me. But you see, I had been doing reflexology on my hands. So I had my energy body. I would still have been working on it, but on and off, not continuously. But I do the tapping now daily and twice daily. But going back to what you were saying, yeah, I think, as you say, that it is layer by layer. But I often find that it evolves as you work as well. Say, I might start tapping for something like calm, you know, that I need to feel calm. But then something else might come up. I need support. And as you go, your mind gets clearer and the layers start coming forward about what you need. Your body, it's your own healing within that comes forward and tells you what you need. So it's quite amazing, really, what it does.
And what I've observed also is that people experience the challenges, but the body's amazing because it's not going to present you with more than you can manage.
Yeah.
Because if you have 3 issues to deal with, and normally the oldest is the most intense, you're going to work through the more surface issues.
Yes, I know
and then
what
if
you mean.
You're stronger and have more capability, then you can go deeper.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I know what you're talking about. It's not to overwhelm people with a deep, that person doesn't get overwhelmed from this, that they just go layer by layer. This today I can deal with. I can remove that layer. Yeah, and next layer then, as that's gone, there's another layer, and you slowly get through the layers, and it makes it easier for the person. It's not like bombarded with, you know, high levels of you know, issues or problems straight away. That it goes layer by layer, and that happens naturally, as you say.
Yeah.
Doesn't it,
And
Jackie?
that's
Yeah.
one of the deep forms of respect I have with my art of Jin Shin,
Mm.
that it's really the healing that they're doing
Yes.
with their creator and their
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
And
Mm.
I'm there to facilitate it.
Yes, I totally agree with you there, and I believe that that is the truth of it. We're just the facilitators of the work that they need to do, and when people need help, they'll come when they're ready. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we all do, and we find it when we're ready. As I say, when the student is ready, the teacher
Yeah.
appears. You know, and I mean that kind of is true for lots of areas in life, but especially
Mhm.
with this, I think, because
Yeah.
I could have said that when I was doing the reflexology in the early years, I didn't truly understand the level of I hadn't studied, would say, the energy area, but
Mhm.
it happened naturally and it evolved naturally for me to keep going in that direction, you
Mhm.
know, until I found that it was so beneficial to me that I would love to let other people know the benefits of it because it can help them as well. Mm.
And that's one of the things we were talking another time about, what the benefits are.
Yeah,
Working with EFT and working with Jin Shin Jyutsu.
yeah.
And I think it is different for each of them. But if we were going to highlight just a couple, does anything spring to mind for you?
I think the biggest thing myself is that you become more aware of you, you know, you, who you are, because a lot of us aren't that self-aware. You know, I feel like that you're so busy all the time in a doing life, if you know what I mean, doing, and, you know, schedules and plans and things to do. And you often overlook you. You're not in your, you know, you're in your head, you're not in you or body at all, at all. And I think that's the biggest bonus of any kind of energy healing, that it brings you back into connecting with your body to
Mm-hmm.
become self-aware, you
Yeah.
know.
And I'm just amazed because I can see the change in people, myself and others,
Yes,
that we can have decreased pain and tension and fatigue.
yes,
And then that leaves space to have better energy and more vitality.
yes,
And it's, I mean, my tagline is transforming stress to serenity.
yes.
And it's just very much like that, because we don't want to be in a stress state. We don't want to be overwrought. We don't want to be in pain.
Yeah. And yeah, I know. And I think I suppose I really go with like your happiness matters. And I don't mean that we should be all jumping for joy, like that kind of happiness, but that you
Yeah,
have this sense in a sense of contentment and well-being, a sense of comfortable in yourself. And if
mm-hmm.
you have, like, we're not going to be without challenges or, you know, issues throughout our lives, that when they arise, you can almost say, oh yes, well, now this is going to be a bit difficult. I'll tap for it, or I'll relax and take a few deep breaths, and I'll be well able to cope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll be able to cope with this. And it hasn't the same intense, well, for me personally, it hasn't the same, I don't get overwhelmed like I used to.
Yeah.
And that's where the awareness comes in. And I think that's key for me personally, that I'm more aware now. And if I feel like my head is going in a looping, thinking, overdoing it pattern, I'm inclined to go, apps, now stop that, you know. And I use
Ever
this.
so gently, right?
Yeah, oh no, I'm quite firm with myself. I might as well be honest with you. But I use this spot here, the collarbone, the kidney meridian, and I tap on that. I find that quite comforting. Now that is only just for a few seconds if I feel like I'm getting a bit off, and it does help me.
And the kidney meridian is so amazing because it actually brings our life force into our body.
Yeah, see.
And just our basic essence. It allows us to stay connected.
Yes. So maybe that's why I automatically go for this spot, and I think, all right, okay, that's it now. Oops, you'll be able to cope.
Isn't that for adaptation too? It helps
Yes.
us adapt to things.
Yeah.
One of my teachers said that the 22s, which is where you're touching,
Yes.
Allows us to be happy wherever we are.
Isn't that lovely? Well, that's a perfect way to think about it, because, as I said, it obviously does that for me. It does. Yeah. And that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think too that there are so many different modalities out there.
And that's another reason I love, I do, I'm practitioner in the Reiki as well. And I love that there's this lovely spiritual base to that. But all of this has a spiritual base because it's mind, body, spirit, really.
Yeah.
All energy healing, because that's what we're made of. We all have a higher essence to us of some sort. It's something we believe in. And again, that has been wonderful as well. I love the Reiki. It's the one treatment I will go for. You know, I go for a session of Reiki. I love it. And it's lovely and relaxing and healing. And again, it moves energy. It's still, you know, you balance the chakras, and it's just fabulous. It really works for me. I've had amazing results with that as well. No, I do love it. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a lot of,
like, if you were going to tell someone, here's my number one tip for you from EFT, what would it be?
Or I think get in touch with your body.
Yeah.
You know, learn that there is a connection between mind, body. You know, there's so many people nowadays living in stress and anxiety. I mean, we've had this big pandemic, and everyone knows that stress and anxiety interferes with your immune system and your health, generally speaking. So deal with your stress. If you feel you have any stress, always address it. And that's my number one tip. However you go about it, or whatever modality you use, but learn something that you can help, that will help you to keep your stress at at bay. Regulate your own system, because we all can self-heal if we have the skills and the knowledge on how to do it.
Yeah. And I think my top tip is very similar to yours, because my top tip would be to be present and to mind your breath.
Yes. Breath
and your hands.
Yeah.
If you hold your hands, everything can change.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of these modalities, whether it's EFT or Jin Shin Jyutsu, it's actually harnessing the wisdom from so long ago.
It is.
And making it accessible to us in our modern times.
Yeah.
Because we can't all go sit and read for decades of all the wisdom of the ages.
No, and I know that's a good point now you brought up, Jackie, because I agree with you. It is an innate wisdom that we're harnessing, that is there from way, way, way back down to the generations. And that theory and talking about it and all that, the most effective way to find out if it works is to experience it.
Yeah.
You know, to experience any of the modalities, the reflexology, the EFT that I do, experience what it's like to do a round of tapping for any specific thing, or experience what it's like to do the Jin Shin Jyutsu. Pronunciation not great there, Jackie. But you know, that is holding a part that helps you as you do, or if it's tapping on a part, but to get that, you know, to experience it. Yeah, you need to experience it to know what it really does for you. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our chat. It was great.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I've really enjoyed exploring with you the whole idea of energy work and looking at the different modalities, and we should talk again sometime.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I find it wonderful as well to be able to share with you as well, Jackie, about all the different modalities and how they can support people and how it really, really works very well.